The guys are literally, one sec. Guys are literally falling for these distraction tactics. Like, I don't understand. Do you guys not realize what's happening here?
Well, they're the only people. This is what I was saying to Daniel earlier about the 5%ers, is that I think that these three people are basically just hateful trolls.
What?
So,
yeah. I'm not.
Let me ask you about this.
I'm not. Hey, let's not insult this. Let's not insult.
Why am I stupid? Keep in mind that I fucked your mother last night. Tell me why I fucked your mother in her ass.
I just think really, it's actually a true manifestation of the Zionist regime, to be honest.
I'm an American. I wouldn't be proud. I wouldn't be proud. I would have a true manifestation of the Iranian
He's not here to whitewash anything.
You are so stupid. I'm not a Zionist. You don't even know me. I'm actually not a Zionist. And 3 years ago, I would have said death to Zionism. I would have said.
Wait a second. You're not a Zionist?
In 2018. Well, in 2018. So maybe time has gone by, really. I mean, the past 6 years, honestly, guys, have been kind of a blur for me for many reasons. I feel like time is going by very quickly. But there is a picture of me that comes up on Facebook Memories of me in 2018 wearing a keffiyeh at a Black Lives Matter protest. That picture.
But you're Zionist today, aren't you, Ismail? You're not Zionist today?
What is a Zionist? I don't even... I already think you're smart and cool. I want to hear Soren fall on his face.
Okay, I can answer that, Ismail. So what I see is Zionism is I see it as a political ideology. And the political ideology, the agenda of Zionism is to create a Jewish state, an only, let me highlight that, an only Jewish state, right? Jewish only.
I don't think that's true.
And wait, I didn't finish the definition first.
Well, your definition's already full of shit.
It's fine. And the strategy that the Zionists use is to maximize land and minimize who? The Palestinians. And this is a movement that is embedded in settler colonialism.
So why are there Palestinians living in Israel? They
Sorry?
just haven't. Why are there Palestinian people who are living in Israel?
Because they have to work.
That's good that you called them Palestinian. Daniel would have called them Arabs.
That's a full stop.
That's
Well,
progress.
I mean,
That's
I've seen posts from people on Twitter. I saw a post from a guy on Twitter who said he was talking about his own cultural identity, the evolution of his own identity. And he said, when I was growing up, I identified as Palestinian living under Israeli occupation. Then he said, I started identifying as Palestinian Israeli with a hyphen, but the Palestinian was first. He said, then I started identifying as an Israeli Palestinian because I really believed he was 16 at the time. He's growing up in Jerusalem or somewhere, I forget where he lives. He says, all right, by this point, I'm an Israeli Palestinian, you know? But now he says, he was writing, and he says, now I identify as an Israeli.
A lot of people, Ismail, identify first with their ethnicity, then their nationalities. For example, African American. For example, Chinese American. That's what people do.
But those people are all identify as American first.
Not all of them.
I mean, yeah, not the fucking African Somalians who want to destroy America, but Chinese, Korean people, Indian people, Jewish immigrants to Israel, like my family, to America. My family came here to America three generations ago, or 4 generations ago. So my parents' grandparents were immigrants.
So I have a question. My mother was born before 1948 in Tel Aviv, in Palestine. I am her son. Am I Palestinian? Like, what
Today,
makes
the-
them
the- the-
Palestinian and me not? Like,
By the way, just to
You're
touch
not
on the
Palestinian because today, after the war happened, the nation state is Israel.
so no, why are the Arabs in Israel are Palestinian and I'm not?
They're
why
not
they-
Arabs.
to touch on what Ishmael said about the
Arabs
evolution
or
or how
Muslims.
they identified themselves, if you actually
Okay,
look
Daniel,
back 20,
Ashaba, I
30,
was
40,
speaking,
50 years,
Miss, I
most
was
of the
speaking.
most of the Arabs in
You wanna
Israel
disrespect
that are
me.
currently identifying themselves as Palestinians, if you look back 50, 60, 70 years, most of them actually identified themselves as Arabs, okay? And then over time, more and more started identifying themselves as Palestinians, okay? So if you're talking about a political ideology, this is a political ideology.
Well, let me give you a little history lesson, Mrs. Chapa. Arabs are in the Arab Peninsula. After
I can't wait to hear this, Zach.
After, yes, Mr. Mark. After, later on, during the Arab conquest, right, from Arabia, the places such as Syria, the Levant, parts of North Africa, became Arabized. I've used the term Arabized. Why? Because of its language specifically, because they speak Arabic, but they're not Arabs. Egyptians are not Arabs. Lebanese are not Arabs. This is just a social contract that is recent.
Exactly.
Wait, what is an Arab? What is an Arab?
It's
What
true,
is an Arab?
but so is the
What
concept
is a
of
woman?
Palestinian, a new concept. And I don't want to deny that there are people now, and that's the reality of today, that identify as Palestinians. I respect that. But again, if you look back 50, 60, 70 years, those very people that predominantly identify as Palestinians today within Israel proper, at the time would rather be identified either as Arabs or as whatever tribe they belong to.
like Bedouin or whatever.
So you're arguing that they never called themselves Palestinian, let's say 150 years ago. If you're walking-
Absolutely.
No.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yes, no.
Yes, there was.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. They did
there
not
was no-
identify. The
There
ones
was no
that actually
Turkey.
identified
There's no
themselves as Palestinians were
All
the
right.
Jews.
I
Okay, within
understand
the
what you're-
mandate,
Okay.
within the British mandate of Palestine,
So
it
if
was
you're
actually
walking-
the Jews that
And if you-
identified themselves as
Okay, so
Palestinians.
to understand you, it's like 120 years ago, I'm walking in the streets of Haifa, because Haifa exists back then, or Jerusalem, and I said, what are you? They would call themselves, I am Al-Misri from this tribe. I wouldn't call myself Palestinian. So there was no...
Assyrian maybe.
That's what you
Assyrian
said,
they would
right?
say.
Exactly.
Assyrian.
Okay.
Yeah, not Palestinian, definitely not.
So based on that argument, you're saying because they never called themselves Palestinians, so they're Arabs, so we didn't have the Palestinian identity. Based on that argument, you basically possess the
It's not an
land.
argument.
Because
It's not an argument, so
I'm trying to understand you. I'm not.
No, it's not an argument. No, it's not an argument. We're talking about like
The
what
fact.
the
fact.
no, like how it was this. What is a Palestinian? How it was created as an identity. It's not.
I
It's not.
understand.
It's not a,
I'm just trying
we
to
don't-
find out your thought process. You basically, because of that thought process.
No, maybe you
If you
can
want to
explain
find
to
out
me.
his thought process, you have to listen to him when he talks and not interrupt him.
No, maybe you can understand. Explain to me, like, if my mother was born in Palestine, am I Palestinian, or what makes a Palestinian Palestinian? Do I need to be Arab? Do I need to be Muslim? Do I just need to be not Jewish? Do I need to be one that? No, I'm asking you, what makes me not Palestinian and them, like, when this identity started?
Okay, and you say that you're the
to describe that
Arab
group.
from this tribe.
Because otherwise we are all Palestinians. At what point did it become definition for this group?
And
of
what do you
people?
think the historians, like imagine the historians from all around the region, from the Greece, from the Persia, from the, I don't know, the Chinese, if they had wanted to talk about this particular land, first things first, what do they call that land and what do they call people in that land? Like a Chinese historian. Back then.
Lebanese,
South Syria,
Not Palestinian though.
Never. Yeah, you can
Okay.
mandatory Palestine, South Syria, Lebanon, depends at what time, yeah.
And what about during Ottomans? What do they call those people in that
They
land?
call them Arabs.
Arabs.
they're-
Okay.
And they called them Egyptian, they called them Southern Syria. Even up until 1955, they were still calling themselves Syrians and Egyptians.
So you're arguing that this concept of the Palestinian identity is a man-made new nuance. It wasn't
Every national identity is a man-made nuance. That's a stupid question. The point is, this is a new one in opposition.
Well, no,
to
in
the
the
Jewish
region there were some nation states for thousands of years. I mean, there were nation states, particularly Middle East.
Okay. Every nation state, even if they were for thousands of years, is a man-made nuance. And when a tribe and a group turns into a nation, which is a modern invention, that's a nuance. You get that? The point here is the nation, the Palestinian nation, has only considered themselves a nation in opposition to the Jewish state. Before them, they were Arabs. They did not consider themselves a unified group. Gaza and the West Bank had nothing to do with each other. One was Egyptian, one was Syrian. They had nothing to do with each other. That's the point.
And do you think that the people in that region, the reason they call themselves Palestinian and they always argue wholeheartedly there was a Palestinian identity in the past, they're just doing it as an opposition to the Jewish state, or do they really believe?
Yes.
So, do they really
What do
believe?
you mean? But Slovan, the answer is in the question. It's not about belief. It's a history. Let them present it. Talk about their currency. Talk about their leaders. Talk about their history.
I'm sorry.
It's not about believing.
I'm not going to deny, and I'm going to repeat myself. We cannot deny that there are currently people that identify as Palestinians. That's just the reality of today. That's the reality on the ground. Okay, we can't deny that. But yes, it was an invention in the 60s by Arab opposition, solely in opposition of the Jewish state. That's how it started.
I understand, but do you think the Palestinians believe in that?
No.
That's my point.
Pardon?
The leaders
Do you think
do,
the Palestinians believe in that narrative?
The leaders do, yes. And they say.
But the leaders, forget about the few people, like the mass majority of Palestinians, do you really think they believe that 120 years ago, if you walk in the street of Haifa, there was no such thing as a Palestinian identity, regardless whether it was existent or non-existent?
Facts don't matter.
Someone talks about talks about beliefs and like our perception. You're talking about like what people believe, and we are talking about facts. And I think that this is exactly where we are.
If they believe that
As Gottlieb said, believe a lie over and over again, it becomes the truth. Like if they were fed by their leaders, whether it's political leaders, whether it's elders, whether it's the mosque, for decades, that this is your identity and you have to die for it, then obviously that's what they believe, right? The current generation 100% believes that. Does that make it not a man-made thing back in the 60s as an opposition to the Jewish state? Yeah, of course, that still stands.
Like now in Egypt, I don't really think anyone argued that the Arab culture was non-existent before the Islam's getting to that region. So everyone knew that they used to speak Coptic. So that's a common sense given everyone's agrees on. Everyone's on board. The Egyptians become Arabized, like Tunisia, like Algeria.
I don't know if you ask a Palestinian like 25
No, it's an honest question. Is the Palestinians really believe in that? Because I don't have the answer.
Process is sorry, and I'm asking you.
It's called being Arabized.
If you
They were
ask,
Arabized in Egypt for sure.
so sorry, if you ask a 30-year-old Palestinian in Hebron, they'll say they're Palestinian. And then when you ask for their history, they'll say we don't have a history. And then when you ask them enough questions, if they do a very confusing narrative, that they claim that they've been there since the Roman occupation, they claim that they're Arabs, they also claim that they've been Arabized and they're not really Arabs. So it's a very confusing identity. I think if you ask them enough questions, they start admitting that this is like a created identity in the last 40 years. But because there's different groups put together. Some of them will have the name that they come from Egypt. Some of them have the name that they've been there since the Roman occupation. So their story doesn't add up. So you want to know if they put this all together and how they rectify it in their own mind, you have to talk to each one individually.
You won't find a book, you won't find a history, you won't find a president, a king, a prime minister, a queen, a caliph. None of this existed. It had
You won't find a poet,
or
a culture, you won't find a criminal, nothing.
Right, you won't find a legal body.
Because
It
they
was a
didn't have
region
the
with-
self-determination over the,
Like
they
the
didn't have the
Alps.
ruling, they didn't have the governance, is that what you're saying?
They had nothing.
Okay, Assyrians haven't
But
had
still, they're a nation state, you
Sorry.
can be nation state without
Sorry.
the,
Jews didn't have self-determination, and we get documentation of us.
Assyrians have not had self-determination in well over 1,000 years. They still have their own code. The Kurds have not had self-determination in well over 1,000 years. They still have a distinct identity. The Yazidis, the Jews. There's hundreds of groups throughout the Native Americans in the United States. The fact that you don't have self-determination does not make you not a people group. The Palestinians became a people group in opposition to the Jewish state. This is like incontrovertible. I'm not sure why you keep arguing.
You mean the Yazidis, by the way, not the Yazidis.
The Yazidis, it's a different game.
Yeah, that's a whole different game.
I mean, they've been pretty much genocided by ISIS.
yeah, but surely I've seen the maps, I've talked to I was lucky enough to talk to people that age over 100 years old, they called that particular territory Palestine. I never asked them, what do you call the people in that region?
Not really. They didn't really call it Palestine. It was
they
the
called-
Ottoman Empire.
It was part of the Ottoman Empire, and the reason
But they didn't call them
Palestine-
Ottoman Empire, they called them Palestine. Which
Yeah,
is
the
No,
reason
they
they
didn't.
called
They didn't.
the reason they called it Palestine was because there were Palestinians from the area. Palestinians was Darwin and I. The Jews in that area are called Palestinians because that's what the Romans named us. So it wasn't like a definitive land group. This is Palestine, but that's where the Jews came from.
Yeah, but what's the point of this? There was people, and their land was taken. That's pretty simple.
Well, they never
Well,
had
those
land
people-
to be taken. If you
Whose
want
land
to
was
say
taken?
they never had a people or a land that was taken. Now, if you want to say it well, I can make your case for you. Just do it well. When the Ottoman Empire broke up and the lands was decolonized, there were people that their land got stolen then by Jordan and Egypt, and they were never given citizenship. Now that Israel got its land back, they still don't have citizenship. So if you want to make an argument for the people group, make an argument for the people group. But you can't put all the blame on Israel, and you can't say that they're a unique nation. There are people that got disenfranchised by their Arab brothers trying to hurt the Jewish state.
But this argument that some people said they didn't have the self-determination, they didn't have self-governing, they didn't have a president, same argument can be used by the Aboriginal of Australia, by the First Nation of Canada,
Yeah,
by the Indian
And they're
of
still a
the
people group
US.
because they still have a legal code
Still,
and they still
well,
have
colonized,
a
still,
They have a language.
Wait a
They
minute.
have a
They have a legal
culture.
code, they have
They have
a
a
culture,
religion.
they have a
And
history.
can I ask a question?
This is-
Soren,
You made our case, Soren.
are you advocating that the Native Americans of the United States?
You're cutting out, Ismail. I can't hear you.
We lost you, Ishmael.
What I was trying to say, Ishmael, is that just because there was no president among the Aboriginal community in Australia or the First Nation in Canada, or
Actually, there
Native
were.
Indians,
They did have
there was
that.
no president Aboriginal.
No, they did have that. You're wrong. Again, they did.
What about, Soren,
Wait, I
for
think
example,
Ishmael wanted to say something, so let him.
Ishmael, you want to try? We couldn't hear you.
Okay, he's not there.
I think he wasn't made.
God
Are
did
you
not
saying
want
there was a
us.
presidency
You
during
looking at
Aboriginal
Hamas tunnel?
I'm not aware of. There's no presidency.
Did you ever hear of King Kamehameha of Hawaii?
No, I'm talking about specifically about
Of
Australia.
course,
We're saying there
of
was a
course.
presidency Aboriginal. They didn't
I think
believe
pretty
in
much all
black.
tribes of humans eventually flock around a single leader. Sometimes there are multiple communities with single leaders. Sometimes there's a confederation, like with the Aztecs in Mexico.
Yeah, what's the point? We know that.
People usually have leaders and kings, chieftains, whatever you want to call them.
They had a language. They had a city. They had a religion, a culture. They had even an alphabet. There was never such a thing as a
There was no
Palestinian.
alphabet among the Aboriginal, for sure.
Yes, there was.
That's
Before
some
the
drawings
language-
in a cave. That's all.
Yes, there was. You're
No,
wrong.
they
You're
were
just
very
very
racist.
racist. That's very
Long before there
racist.
was the written
It's not
word.
racist. Aboriginal Australia had no
Very
alphabet.
racist.
Racist
People
fact.
were talking to each other and they understood what they said. Language exists before the written word.
Yeah, correct.
I'm talking about alphabet. There was no alphabet. There's no Aboriginal alphabet in Australia.
Again, you are
That's
ignorant and
That's,
racist.
that's a certain technology of language.
Yeah, because the written language was invented in Mesopotamia for trade, and the Aboriginals didn't have anyone to trade with, so they never developed the written language. That's is irrelevant to the
Yeah,
fact
the
that they were
Phoenicians
using
were like
people
the
groups.
big entrepreneurs that got everyone interested in alphabets and that method of tracking language, of which you can do other ways. There's pictographic, Mandarin still
There's
works.
phonetic.
Yeah, there's different approaches, but the reason they're always letters now is because of the mission work. The missionaries that went out into the world to study it, they wanted to understand it, and they thought in those terms. So they would identify the specific sounds and then create language of their description of what they're hearing from native peoples that were just talking to each other without the technology of the written word. Not all the time. And even if they did have it, which they did for different things, they used it differently. Like, they didn't have the same preoccupations that we, the West, developed with language and writing.
What did you say?
I'm saying that writing is technology, and then how you use that technology is a custom. The way that Asia utilized writing was very different than the way the West utilized writing, and very different from the way North and South America, the indigenous peoples, made use of writing.
Okay, where are we going with this point, though?
The point is very clear. They said there's no identity, so that's why these people are Arabs. If you look at the family name, al-Misri. So there was a piece of land belongs to no one. We come and took it. Basically, that's the whole argument, I guess.
Well, it didn't belong to no one, or nobody came and took it. It was first the Ottoman Empire, and then they sided with the wrong side in World Wars I and II, and so that ended. The British took it as a part of winning the war, and then the people who were there formed into a nation. Those people being Jews. Arabs also formed into nations. There was Jordan, there's Lebanon, there's Syria, there's Egypt got its modern boundaries. By the way, the entire Arab Peninsula, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, all that region, the nation states emerged in this period, just like the Jewish nation state. And by the way, the people who were living there, they could have also formed into a nation state. But for some bizarre reason, perhaps because of their neighbors, they did not form a quote-unquote Palestinian nation state. Perhaps because they had no identity.
They don't want to form a state. Okay, wait a second. Primarily, we cannot play the American game of being narrow-sighted in history when we're dealing with the old world, especially not this region. So long as this region has been tracked, we know of the politics. It's not like a new occurrence. We can't play dumb with all.
What politics are you referring to now? Which politics do you think the undumbified?
I think that you're trying to look at the formation of the State of Israel in 1900.
I'm putting the formation of the State of Israel into the context of the modern nation state, which is where it belongs, as do all the other states in the region.
I know. No, I'm saying that the role of the warring tribes of this region, it goes back thousands of years. And it's only stupidity to just ignore all the facts.
Nobody's ignoring any facts.
I'm saying that they're forming a state, but it's not a new idea. It's an old one.
No, but the modern nation state is obviously a 19th century idea. That's what we're discussing.
They're doing it in a modern way, just like all of the other states.
Guys, just wondering, why is this issues coming again and again and again? Turkey is taking areas from Syria and Kurdistan. Iran is invading many other countries and influencing the countries.
President.
What does it scare as we speak? In Africa, they're changing places. Why is it so important? Such a very narrow place. Well, I think we all should try and start talking more about Iran.
You're right. People mostly don't care.
And about its proxies. I think that's a big issue. Iran and its proxies. And it's the way Iran is taking territories that are not theirs. It's not the Iranian people, it's the Iranian government. I think this is much more interesting than a very small place in the world.
Matt, go make the room. You can have that interesting conversation.
No, I think people are too obsessed about Israel. Just let Israel be. Iran is, I don't know, much more mess in the world. we could, even in general, like, I think.
Yeah, Iran
we
is a
just
booty
need
man,
to
it's a scapegoat, you know, you can literally divert attentions to Iran.
No, I think all that's at least
I think like the damage and the genocide the Iranian government is doing is much more severe,
But that's the
much
same
more
thing.
severe than anything that
Military
is going.
industrial complex can, drain the milking cow to
Sorry,
Syria.
I don't know why you are jumping into my words and talking over me. Is something in particular offending you?
This topic excites me.
Triggering, yeah. Because the truth is that the people behind the Houthis,
Where are you?
Hezbollah.
Where are you from?
Hang on.
Sorry.
the truth behind the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas is one thing: Iran, the world's largest sponsor of terror. So when we're talking about the instability in the region, all roads lead to Tehran, and that is a problem.
Well,
Yeah, no one wants
this
to
is a
make
regime that supports genocide and ethnic cleansing, and in general, I think Iran is the Iranian government, not the Iranian people, is a very problematic.
Palestinian caused before the Iran's revolution.
Iran is way more ancient. Iran is way more ancient.
About Iran's role.
And I think, like, sorry to be honest, let's say you are running a company, and you have like a huge crisis and a small crisis. What are you taking care of? You're taking care of the huge crisis, not the small crisis.
There was a war.
Talking about Gaza while you have Iran, it's funny.
How about the 60s? Was Iran 60s
there
or
is a
70s?
pretty high
That was the Soviet Union. That was the
Exactly.
Soviet
It was
Union.
not Iran is a boogeyman here.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Well, no, Iran is now the current world's largest sponsor.
Of course, Iran is the world's
How
biggest
about the
problem
60s?
right
What
now.
was the boogeyman for you guys in the 60s?
We're not going
funny.
back
It's
now.
like-
This is 2024.
It's like you have
We'll
a
buy you a
matter of
calendar.
life and death, and you are wasting your time about nonsense. So the big issue is Iran, and I think Soren,
Can you
should.
stop derailing the conversation, Rad? We weren't talking about that. So
No, the problem is Iran. This is the problem. And I think you guys, you should concentrate all your energy and efforts instead on Israel, on Iran. Because if you are looking for world benefit, and if you are looking for true good, and to do the world a better place, then you should concentrate on changing Iran. That's what should be. And
Okay,
for
so
me,
here's my
it's so
proposal.
hilarious
Of
that
course.
people that the benefit of the world is in their side and like in their best interest. So us, you present yourself to people like this, you should concentrate
I
on Iran.
remember Netanyahu went to the 90s Congress. Hey, the problem is Saddam Hussein. If we get rid of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, the peace will be prevailed. What
2024.
happened?
The problem is
Come
Iran.
on.
2024.
Okay, so I think
the problem
Soren,
is
I think you are a person that cares about the world. Take all your efforts and energy and explore Iran.
For the record, he's Iranian. For the record.
Oh, so you have a good knowledge about it. So you're Iranian, you can even do it better than
the moment
others.
he opened his mouth, I knew he was Iranian. I
He's
knew.
Iranian. And he's also
The moment
heretic.
he
He's been
spoke,
rejected
he
by
knew
the
his
Muslim
lies.
community because he gave up on Islam. So there's a fatwa against him. So this is the situation that he's arguing from.
This is what happened to all of you guys when you get to the age of 70, by the way. Do not blame him when he's rambling.
No, I'm not rambling.
That
I'm just
happened to me, by
describing.
the way.
People need to know who we're talking
At
to.
7 years old, now what do you expect? I mean,
People
So,
need
Soren,
to know who
Soren,
we're talking
you
to.
are
now
entitled to do
That's
gibberish,
not
by the
true.
way.
Iran
You are
used,
entitled to
Iran
that.
used,
No, we just need a little context
No,
about
at the age of 70, everyone's entitled.
Nothing-
Look at the Joe
nothing I
Biden.
said is wrong.
Look at the Joe
You don't
Biden, by
disagree
the
with
way.
one word.
I mean,
You
he can be a president.
Don't be triggered. Don't
Even
be
he can be a
triggered,
president.
Soren.
He can be a president of the United States.
You can't run away from the truth, sorry. You can't run away from the truth.
Even the United States president rambling.
Please remove the Roger from the stage. It's not the actual account.
Iran.
Can you guys remove?
Yeah, we know it's not
Roger.
Roger, it's Edmund.
Yes, so can you remove him? Thank you. And
Oh,
block-
well, Isa tolerates it. She finds
No
it
wonder
hilarious.
why you vote for President Biden. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, you
rambling
can
like
tolerate him if he changes his profile photo and doesn't show one of our friends that is actually in the audience. Thank you.
So now we understand where Soren is coming from.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so now Soren will concentrate all his energy, effort, mind, and soul to condemn
That's the
Iran.
scapegoat, buddy. That's the scapegoat. The same scapegoat was Saddam Hussein.
No, they're the sponsor, not the
Very
scapegoat.
good,
The
Soren.
Why
sponsor.
don't you
So
really
you are
call the
going-
elephant
you are
in the
going
room?
against any
Come on, you
Arab
gotta call the
corruption.
elephant, the actual elephant in the room.
This is a good start.
That was the
Going
ICJ
against Arab
finding.
corruption.
Occupation.
Very
Let's
good.
talk about occupation, maybe. That's gonna solve
Okay,
the
the
problem.
occupation of Iran.
I'm
in
talking about the
Yemen
Palestinian
and
land
Lebanon
occupation.
and Syria. Let's talk about the occupation of Iran.
Talking
What do you want to know
about
about the
what
occupation of
occupation
Iran?
you're talking about?
Actually, you are Iranian, so you could tell us more about the occupation.
You're talking about
of Iran.
Iran's military presence in Syria. Guess what? The Assad government's invited Iran.
Yeah, exactly.
That's based on the invitation
So,
of the legitimate government of
you're
Syria.
saying, Soren, as an Iranian and person of
I'm
knowledge,
talking as
you
a
are
someone who
saying
knows
that
geopolitics.
Iran is
No
occupying
bias.
Syria. Iran is working hand by hand with a mass murderer, Assad. This is interesting. Sorry. So, what is you as an activist that cares about human lives? What are you going to do in order to help the poor Syrian people to get rid of Assad?
Listen, you're asking me about occupation?
No,
This is
no,
not
wait.
occupation. This is
Right.
not
You just said occupation of Syria, but
white people go to Africa and they're racist. Chinese people go to Africa and they're racist. You got a whole fucking continent of black people, you fucking weirdo. That's a dumb argument. You thought you were good. You thought you were cooking. And you sat there and you fucking long-winded us to death with that dumbass argument. Go to sleep.
This is the only way that this chip understands, so I'm going to do it this way. When you have a larger population that gives you better percentage, you know that census thing that you got to take every 10 years? Just to help your bitch ass out, Concrete, and you would have more power in this fucking country. Concrete, you goddamn chip. Why don't you shut the fuck up and let somebody understand something instead of always coming in like the little bitch ass nigga that you are, screaming for attention because nobody want to give you nothing. Man, I should have had somebody aboard you. Now, the point is simply this, sir. Whites gave you that. They gave you the right to kill your children. They made it accessible for you to kill your children to maintain your population, to make you not a threat. Coco, understand? Yes, I think you understand now. That also means because you're a small population, it gives everybody else the right to come in, like every other demographic, and step all over you. Understand? Yes, I think you understand. You get it? You see how it connects?
No.
And because you don't give a fuck about your own kids, they don't have to either. Understand? Yes, I think you understand.
Okay, Lion. Okay, so basically, like I said, you were saying that because women and specifically black women have access to abortions, technically not no more, but being that they have access or a wide range of access to abortions, that these people who have been racist and continue to be racist since the eon and the formation of the American Constitution, that white men and just white people in general are allowed to disrespect our black youth. Now, mind you, this is coming from the same person who said that we need to burn all these motherfuckers down. That's verbatim. That's something that you used to say, Ryan. So this type of rhetoric that you have right now is definitely due to Trump. It's definitely due to Trump. Ask anybody in this room has their position changed. I don't think. Hey, watch this, Nathan. Watch this, Nathan. When I came in this room, what did I say? Who used to call me a genocidal maniac?
So,
Edgar Hand.
so I can't attribute Lions.
Is it changed?
I can't attribute Lions views to Trump. They're not Trump forbidden views. I agree that abortion.
They're not Trump's views.
I agree that abortion has not been good for our community. I totally agree with that point. Sanger was a what's the term? A Lion a eugenist. She wasn't a eugenist. She did, that was the beginning. The beginnings of Planned Parenthood. Have they morphed into something different? Yeah, but you can argue that the roots are still there, the original intent is still there. We have certainly aborted millions of babies, tens of millions of babies. That's certainly an argument. You can have the argument about the fact that if we had more population, we'd have more power. That's arguable because to this point, freaking South Africa, they certainly didn't have the power for many, many years. They just got it. They were just regaining their power. I think they're heading for a revolution between me and I think they're.
And what's happening in South Africa? I put it in Discord, family.
Yeah, South Africa is like I think they're for a revolution. The blacks and the whites out of power.
Thank you.
Particularly the lower middle class whites, the upper class.
And where they're living? I can tell you where these white people
living in the squalors that the blacks use.
Yeah, we got what would have happened. Coco?
Wealthy, but that's like the middle and lower class whites. The wealthy whites still have a lot of power and they still hold a lot of positions.
Give it time.
Right, that's why I said I think they're heading for a revolution. Again, that's why I said it's arguable, right? Because there's certainly evidence on both sides to argue that point. I don't know that America would have been able to avoid, had we had the numbers, right? I don't know that white America, because we've seen it, right? There's been every time blacks have been in this country, there's been a white backlash. Every single freaking time there's been a freaking white backlash. Even as recent as Barack Obama and the anti-Obama, which is Donald Trump, right? And we can argue that point, right? But there's certainly arguments on both sides, but the only reason I chimed in was just to kind of give credence. The Lions'
point of view is not Trump's, because there are plenty of black, liberals and conservatives that share that viewpoint with respect to, especially the abortion piece. I was being facetious when I said that. Of course, it's not like a Trump view. I was just trolling when I said, "Oh, it's because of Trump." What I'm saying, I like how you walked that back there. Good job. Yeah. So with that being said, lying. No. I still say that you're correlating things that don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. I mean, I understand what you were saying, but you're being disingenuous to what I'm saying and deliberately not understanding what I'm saying. And you're trying to make this point of, because black women have access to abortions that we don't, and we don't have the population control. I mean, the numbers for the population percentage or whatever have you there. Apparently, because of that, white men can continue to do and harass our black youth. Now, here's the thing, that's because you don't have a population that can do that to you. I promise you I'm almost done. Oh my God. What I'm saying is, Lion, you used to do this. Lion would be the type of person that would be like, oh yeah, I don't believe in abortions, and say Lion would still have this view about abortions, but then still say kill the racist motherfuckers, or like do something with the racist motherfuckers. No, I would tell you all the time that I'm pro-abortion as long as it's for whites. I also said I'm pro-gay as long as it's for whites, and I also said that I'm pro-free drugs as long as it's for whites, and you remember that. Get it right, sir. But what about the shit? Am I talking? Wait, what? Am I talking about what? Sorry, bad joke. Sorry, calm down. Again, I'm talking about the black issue right now, and he's talking about something that he said for white people. Think about what everything. No, you try to use my own talking point. I am. Get out the gate. Get out the gate car. I told you the three things that talking about races and what they do and what they say, what they are currently doing to our black youth. Okay. Oh my God. Go. I'm not listening. You're really not listening. No, you're not listening. Okay. You're really not. You just want to make an argument. You're not listening. You're acting like a wolf right now. Here's the thing, Lion. I understand what you're saying. And what am I saying? Still make an argument. I understand what you're saying, and because I understand what you're saying, I'm able to say, bitch, you can't correlate the motherfucking two. And I'm going to stand down on that. So with that motherfucking said, I understand, but I still disagree. But you are saying because I don't agree with you that I don't understand. This is what the confusion is. Because I understand what you're saying, I just disagree with it. I don't think at all. Ryan used to be the type of person that would still call out racist motherfuckers, but then still say, I don't want an abortion for our black men. But he was still calling out the racist motherfuckers. But what Ryan is doing now is he's coddling and pandering to the racist motherfuckers. Black women out here. You're not listening at all to what I'm saying at all. Can I go there? Yourself. I'm gonna smoke a blunt.
So Ryan, this is why I'm gonna disagree with you, bro. I don't think it's the abortion that some women opt into that's the detriment of like the black community, and that allows black people to say, hey, I'm gonna sign. You didn't say sign. I'm sorry. Hey, it's better for us to kill ourselves than let white people kill us or something like that. I think that the solution to stopping black on black violence the majority of the time is to stop these women who are unprepared to have kids from producing those kids. So to me, the solution is abortion. It isn't the detriment. It is the solution. So if you take off less children who parents who don't want them, who just leave the environment, the streets, to raise them, then we'll see less of black on black violence.
All right, so let me respond. Let me respond to that, Nathan. That's not the solution. That's just another effect. What the actual solution is something that most people, even on both sides of the political spectrum, are still unwilling to outright agree with. And it's really basic. It goes something like this: how are babies born? And so the issue it's not that women and men are, they just miraculously miraculously getting pregnant and a child, and the government has to step in and save you from from the fact that you just keep, having children out of wedlock, out of any commitment whatsoever. No, these are choices that you made, and the reason these people made these choices, Nathan, is because they weren't equipped as coming up with I guess you could say the right tutelage or the right mentorship, or should I say proper parenting, that told them that it was more important for them to get a contract first before they decided to open their legs or, insert their male member into somebody without a condom or any sort. And then what happens next is, because they don't want to deal with the consequences of their particular actions, they want the government, which is represented by the white man, which is represented by Martin Sanger, and which is represented by the Nazis, to come in and save them from the mistakes that they had made. And then the overall bigger point, Nathan, is that when we look at millions of people doing this exact same act, this says to the overall majority of the world, oh, looks like niggas don't really care about themselves or their children. Why does it matter if we kill them? Why does it matter if we arrest them and throw them in jail? Why does it matter that they are educated or not educated? If they don't even care about the children that are growing in their own wombs, why does it matter if Pookie is out in the street by some cop who probably shoplifting or robbing or stealing, or he don't even really have to do anything? Why does it fucking matter? If life doesn't matter to the very people, then it is nothing but selective outrage. That's the only conclusion that can be taken. You don't care. Your neighborhoods are in shambles, not because you don't have because it's just a ghetto and it just happened on its own. Their neighborhoods look like shit because you don't care about your neighborhoods. You don't clean up after yourselves. You don't cut the weeds that are growing on the other properties. You don't spend any money providing for that stuff. That's the reason why it's the hood. You let anybody come up and down your streets. You allow people to stand on your corners and sell drugs. You allow people to sell their ass on the other corner because you think they got the right to do it. While your children got to go to school and walk in between these fucking derelicts. You allow it to happen. If you don't mind, can you just lay on your point? Can you lay on what's the point? I'll simplify it really quickly. That's fine. I did it the long way because I don't like to go over. So, yes, the white man is the devil. He's a fucking serpent on planet Earth. But guess what? You let the serpent into the house. You made him a cup of coffee. You sat him in there. You go ahead and be booty clapping for him. You allow him to hang out with your kids. You allow him to educate your kids. Then you complain that the devil bit your kids. What did you expect him to be? Other than what he is.
Can I be honest with you? Here's my honesty.
Answer Mike. He was answering my question in the context of where we are now as opposed to where we were, and what we had, the very thing very thing that we want so much for now, we had it, and we dropped the ball on that.
Nobody disagrees with Ryan. Everybody agrees with Ryan.
What do you mean by you had it? You had it what?
We were building an economic foundation that was stand on structure and order.
There was family structure, but what else did you have?
You had business. What else do you need? Shoulder.
Okay.
That's what you need.
Honestly speaking, there was no economic.
That's what gives you leverage.
Yeah, but there was family structure, but there wasn't anything much after that.
There were plenty of black businesses in America. What are you talking about?
No,
That's still that black businesses in America.
Correct. But there's more now for
Foundation because we wanted to integrate.
Okay, what period are we talking about?
Away from the very foundation we had built.
A Okay, let's play facts today. What year period are we talking about?
Oftentimes, people think that black people just dropped everything when they were doing the Great Migration, right? When they were leaving the South to go on like the Midwest and the North. They didn't drop everything, and their family was there. Their cousins and all those grandparents that had kids, their kids that had kids. They stayed here. Those individuals stayed in the South. When you talk about the ones who left the South, they didn't leave with anything. They left with a hope and a dream. Sometimes they can feel like
the education of how to build the family structure and keep that when they left. That was the part where it was messing them up when they went all these New York and West Coast. That's what broke.
And the majority of black people are still in the South, bro.
In those cities, right there where they're at now. All these.
Yeah, and that's what people don't remember.
That's where it's most broken up. Why? Because they keep the same structure that was in the, what they learned it from the South.
Two different type of black people, and I think people often confuse that. They gotta remember the southern Negro and the North Negro are totally different. You might catch the North Negro going into places being all loud and everything like that, right? But the southern Negro knows their manners. They grew up in a place where the wit was there to teach a person a lesson. And I think Lauren needs to understand that. Don't try to conflate the southern Negro and the northern Negro like they're the same, bro. All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Yeah, but can we talk about what time period we're talking about? For what time period?
To grow.
For what time period are we talking about?
We gotta be what time period. When they had businesses, after slavery up until the 60s, when it changed, the mentality started to change.
Black people in the North had businesses all over New York in like 1835, 1825. Black people have always. Don't conflate the bougie black people like. Yeah.
Let's also talk about black businesses in Great Britain.
No, we're not talking. We're talking about America. Stop the bullshit, bro. We're not talking about America.
Mesoamerican Empire.
Hey, look up Silicon Village.
Mesoamerica. Okay. So we're talking about in the 1960s.
We're not talking about a time period per se, but I'm just talking about one particular time period. We're talking about I know, and there was no reason to answer it. So what we're talking about is from Reconstruction to now. What went positive for us, and what went extremely wrong or bad for us. All right, that's what we're talking about.
They set the standard then. It's the same standard today to move up. It's the same standard.
The dollar is taking off the gold standard.
Right.
The dollar is taking off the gold standard, and subjective racism, systematic racism is just taught through the education process of education. Matter of fact, the college education system, tuition was free in America before segregation was repealed. So that means that the reason you pay tuition is because it's literally an economic obstacle.
What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about?
The law.
The champ is here. The champ is here. I can call you this way about 10 more minutes, bro. We're not trying to talk about education. Just 10 more minutes, bro. 10 more minutes.
You're talking about basics in America.
No, we're not. No, we're not talking about it. No, we're not talking about it.
Right. What are you talking about, Nathan? Do you know?
We were talking about Ryan's point about abortion being a detriment to black community. I'm telling you. So, Kaji,
it was contrary to that position, which is, well, that wouldn't have never happened if those boys had fathers. And if those fathers came from a strong network of other men. You don't fuck, in other words, nobody is going to go fuck with Hell's Angels, are they, guys? Is anybody, including Rick Ross, going to go and start shit with the Hell's Angels? No, yeah, why is that? Because they have a reputation that if you fuck them, they are going to kill all of you. Correct. So guess what? If you had the numbers and people knew this about you, you could remain that respect. And those poor black children that only got their mothers in Tennessee, those white boys would have said, hey man, no, fuck that, no, leave it alone. I don't need no problems. We don't need no problems. Let's do a little protest. Let's protest the government. Don't fuck with the niggas. Leave it alone. And that's what would have happened. But because you don't have that network, as I said, of men, real men, that are going to stand for their image and say, a man is right, then you got anybody to come and step on you. Just like it was in high school, just like it was in any street, just like it is in any government. If America is seen as weak, all of a sudden, all of American enemies decide that they're going to want to try to step on you. It's a natural behavior of human beings. All right. Thank you. Go right ahead, Concrete. Thank you. So, man, whatever stupid shit you want. You asked and I said no. Not your request. You notice that, right? Yes. You notice that too, right? Is it the same thing in every room? Is it the same thing on every platform? Everywhere.
So, it's normally not like this, first. So, it's normally not like the same room.
Everywhere.
Unless everybody complains. Everybody to the top right.
Everywhere where there is not a deliberate policy of spreading the mic, you are going to get personalities who are going to dominate the mic. Now, if you were to implement a policy where you have to spread the mic, then you get those type of rooms. It's just a natural thing that humans do unless there was some other thing in place. So anyway, the point is, Lion is ignoring that if you were to just eliminate black abortions in America, you would still be outnumbered. So that whole Hell's Angel, blah, 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 doesn't apply because white people will still outnumber you and they still not give a fuck about you. And such that they will still call you nigga, right? No matter how many people you have. And also, they would do so if this is the case that they could take that there is a power let's say imbalance, right? The kids have a power, imbalance with adults, obviously, and they took advantage of it. That doesn't matter if you had all the entire fucking population. That's what humans do. Humans do wild, crazy shit whenever they get the opportunity. Number three, Lion is forgetting that if abortion for blacks then it was illegal, then abortion for whites would be also illegal. And the white number would be more such that you still have this imbalance of power. So no matter how you slice it, Lion, this is a dumbass argument that you use to hide your coonery because Coco fucking backed you into a corner intellectually, smacked you about the face in the body, and you had nothing to respond to it.
Alright, so let me respond to that stupid ass non-statement. So, Concrete, what's 45 million plus 26 million?
And does this invalidate anything that I said?
Yeah, it does actually.
Alright. Go ahead. Tell the point that it invalid.
No problem. 45 million plus 26 million is 71 million people. What's the population of the whites in America?
Yeah, well, again, tell me the population.
нас там, например, не Китай какой-нибудь. Если против
Ну, что?
Я имею в виду не в том смысле, что против политически, а по какие-то противостояния. Вот реально, если бы нас Китай закидывал ракетами для России, у нас была бы совершенно другая история.
Ну, как-то очень упрощенно надо смотреть. У нас в принципе, на сегодняшний день и Китай, и Россия, и, в общем-то, союзников у нас посчитать проще, да, там, ну, скажем, Америка и то, да, это не в моральном плане союзник, больше в сфере интересов, но в определенном моральном тоже. А у Израиля нет как таковых таких прям опор, на которые можно опереться и сказать, то есть вообще нет. У Украины ситуация в этом плане, ее поддерживает 95% либерального свободного мира, ну, хотя бы на словах, да, и даже на делах, как сказано тоже. В Израиле совершенно обратная ситуация. Ты борешься сегодня не только в военно-политическом, экономическом плане, но и в имиджевом плане. Тебя называют угнетателем, колонизатором, и геноцид и так далее, и так далее. Все вранье мира направлено на тебя. А ты говоришь, Китай, там, Россия, у тебя...
Ну, да, ты понимаешь, что мы достаточно херово противостоим этому нарративу, но при этом у нас есть действительно огромное количество сторонников настоящих, которые выйдут за нас там рубашки рвать. Слушай, те же евангелисты в Америке, кто еще? Кто-то где-то еще есть.
На самом деле, давай я с тобой дальше.
The amount of money it would take, it would just drain the country and the economy. It's a hugely costly thing to do, to be in, even in the West Bank, but let alone Gaza as well. And you're also opening up how many soldiers would be dying if they had to have boots in the ground in Gaza. I think Gaza should remain for the Gazans, and but without Hamas, preferably.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't think Gaza should be.
Finish Hamas.
It's theirs. That's fine. They can have it. Like, originally, Gaza, Israel pulled out of Gaza like 20 years ago so that it was like a dry run as a Palestinian state. And Israel hasn't actually been in Gaza for 17, 18 years or something. So I think it should remain. It's theirs. That's fine. Israel pulled out. They agreed to pull out. They agreed to make it a Palestinian state. You can't go back on that now. But I think the Arab world and America and other countries should be helpful now.
They breach the contract. Yes, you can. Breach the contract.
what I disagree. I don't know why anybody would want 2 million hostile people to be in there. I don't think our soldiers should be in there, and I don't think Israel has any right to be in Gaza after this war. It's for them. That's fine. Halas.
Well, moving back after what happened between Egypt and Hamas, there is no option like that anymore. Egypt supporting the terrorism against Israel and using them as a proxy, just in a way to make money. So that's impossible to happen. Israel gonna need control a border between Gaza and Hamas with force to create a stage on Gaza. So it's impossible. What you're suggesting, it's impossible. Militarily, it's impossible. Israel will never gonna have a quiet border with Gaza again, because Hamas will grow from a different group. It doesn't matter. So it's going to be Jihad Islami. So it's going to be a Muslim Brotherhood. It's going to be something else that has a problem with the existence of Israel.
Sure, but that was Israel's fault for not having a stronger border.
Yeah, that is true.
What are you talking about?
And it's also Israel's fault that they wanted to take it this far. Because this is the thing. I'm not saying that the 7th of October was like that they should have I mean, obviously something should have been done to like fix the situation, and I mean, it wasn't right what Palestine did or whatever, but at the end of the day, the way it's been dragged out to this point right now, it's unnecessary, and now there's no turning back. Israel has gone too far with things, so there's never gonna be peace.
You fucking faggot piece of shit.
You literally, you know what you need? You need to swallow some fucking olive oil, because you sound like you smoked 30 packs of cigarettes, you fucking old rag, you low budget. How are you Israeli and broke? Can you explain that to me? Like, I was really trying.
Wait, one sec. I'm just gonna land right.